Aprenda inglês acelerado com diversão e facilidade. Hi, my name is Márcio Alexandre, especialista em Neuro Power English, inglês acelerado com transformação de vida, aqui do canal Power English 42, na nossa segunda lição, no vídeo 5 da segunda lição, da série Inglês Acelerado com áudios, vídeos e textos. Para você que não sabe nada de inglês, até já sabe, mas está enferrujado, tem medos e bloqueios que te impedem de falar bem o inglês. Então, cada uma dessas 5 lições, a gente aborda o mesmo material, mas de maneiras diferentes. Este é o 5º e último vídeo desta série, da segunda lição, e que a gente vai focar esse texto, esse material, e eu explicando inglês, sem falar praticamente nada em português, para fazer com que você, puxando mais o teu entendimento. Nos outros vídeos eu usei um pouco português, mas aqui, no mesmo material dos outros vídeos, vou puxar um pouco para que o entendimento vá para o inglês. Mesmo que você ainda não saiba muita coisa, mas assista esse vídeo e os outros aqui dessa série, ok? Então, vamos começar agora esse texto. Eu vou colocar o áudio dele, que a gente vai seguir, e depois eu vou começar a explicar. E a gente vai treinar também um pouquinho da gramática e aprender um pouco mais de vocabulário, ok? Vamos ouvir primeiro o áudio desse texto em azul, do primeiro parágrafo, e depois do segundo parágrafo, ok? Vamos primeiro ouvir do primeiro parágrafo. Ops, só um instante. Vamos lá.
Many people can't believe that 2 years before A-Fest, before I first started this incredible festival that many people say is like the TED of personal growth, I was so small in terms of my impact in the world that I was basically teaching small classes of 30 to 40 people meditation over a weekend for absolute crap money. Now, how did I go from there to 2 years later creating something like A-Fest? Well, it had to do with an encounter.
Só uma coisa, peraí. Então, vamos para o segundo parágrafo. Só um instante.
Now, how did I go from there to 2 years later creating something like A-Fest?
Agora.
Well, it had to do with an encounter with a guy by the name of Bob Proctor, and how he absolutely kicked my ass to a point where I was so pissed off at him. But it led to a disorientation in my mind that sparked an incredible growth. Now, I wanted to share the story with you. I was talking about this on stage recently, and people absolutely loved it, and they thought it was absolutely hilarious. So check this out and see if this sparks an idea within you.
Very nice. So, let's go to what I call power deciphering. Oops, power deciphering. Now, let's examine this text in English a little bit, alright? Lesson 2. What's the name of the lesson? The name of the lesson is The Unusual Advice That Changed Vishen life. Oops. The unusual. What's unusual? Unusual is different. It's different or uncommon. It's not common. It's uncommon. It's not usual. It's unusual. Oops, unusual. It's different. Advice. What is advice? I say something to you to help you. This is advice, all right? It's information. Advice is information to help someone. Advice is information to help someone. I give you information to help you. It's advice. Unusual advice. It's a different advice. It's uncommon advice that changed, that modified, that changed Vishen Lakhiani's life. Who is Vishen Lakhiani? Who is Vishen Lakhiani? Let's take a look at him. Vishen Lakhiani. Vishen Lakhiani is this guy. He's an entrepreneur. He is an entrepreneur. Or he is a businessman. He's a businessman. He has a company. He's an entrepreneur. He's an entrepreneur. Oops. He's an entrepreneur. What's entrepreneur? Businessman. He has a company. Vishen Lakhiani is an entrepreneur. He's a businessman. He has a company in Malaysia. So, he is from Malaysia. Malaysia? Yes. Malaysia is a country. Malaysia is a country in Asia. Take a look. Malaysia. So Vishen Lakhiani is from Malaysia. He's an entrepreneur. He's a businessman. He has a company in Malaysia. What's Malaysia? Malaysia is a country. Malaysia is a country in Asia. Alright? Take a look on Wikipedia. Malaysia is a country. So take a look. It's in Asia. So the unusual advice that changed Vishen Lakhiani's life, or the life from Vishen Lakhiani. So, did this advice change his life? Yes, it did. Or no, it didn't. It didn't. Question: did this advice change? Did this advice change his life? Yes, it did. Or no, it didn't. Yes, it did. Or no, it didn't. Yes, it did. No, it didn't. Answer: yes, it did. So let's take a look at his story. So Vishen Lakhiani, again, Vishen Lakhiani, a businessman from Malaysia. In this audio, okay, these texts, he is narrating, he is describing, he's telling, talking about, he's speaking about his life at the beginning, his story at the beginning. And in the beginning, he was a small entrepreneur. He was a small businessman. And today, he's a big businessman. He's a big entrepreneur. So, in this text, Vishen Lakhiani is telling us about his life in the beginning. So let's see. He's telling, many people can't believe. It's hard for people to believe. It's difficult for people to believe. Many people can't believe that 2 years before A-Fest. What is A-Fest? What's that? A-Fest is a festival that Vishen created. A festival, a meeting he created many years ago. Once a year, one time a year, calling many people to speak, to give lectures, and to have parties during 1 week. Always in different countries. So it's a festival he created. He's telling us many people can't believe. It's difficult for them to believe that 2 years before A-Fest, 2 years before the festival I created, before I first started this incredible festival, before I first initiated, before I first began. Began is the past of begin. Started is the past of to start. Before I first started this incredible festival that many people say, many people speak, many people state, declare, many people affirm, many people say, this festival is like the TED of personal growth. What's TED? TED Talks. What's TED? Let's take a look. TED Talks. TED Talks is an idea or a movement, let's say. TED Talks is something that happens, something that takes place in many parts of the world, in many countries. And people go to TED Talks to speak, to give lectures in 15 minutes. 15 minutes of lectures. To speak during 15 minutes about different topics, about different situations. So Vishen say, many people say that A-Fest, many people say that the festival I created is like similar to the TED Talks of personal growth. So it's like the same as, it's similar. It seems similar. It's like it's similar to the TED Talks of personal growth. Personal growth is the same as personal development. Personal growth is the same, equal as the personal development. To develop the person mentally, emotionally, intellectually. So he's telling, many people can't believe that 2 years before A-Fest, before I first started this incredible festival, that many people say it's like the TED of personal growth. Many people say that this A-Fest is similar to the TED of personal growth. So before this, Vishen says, I, let's continue. I, Vishen, this is Vishen talking. I, Vishen, was so small in terms of my impact in the world. I was so small in terms of my impact in the world. I was not big. I was not known. People did not know me. People did not know my name. I was small in terms of my impact in the world. That I was basically teaching, I was fundamentally teaching, basically teaching. What was he teaching? What was he teaching? Small classes of 30 to 40 people, meditation. What was he teaching? What was he teaching? Question. He was teaching meditation to small classes. He was teaching meditation over a weekend. Saturday and Sunday. A weekend. Saturday and Sunday over a weekend for absolute crap money. What is crap money? Crap money is little money. Little money. At the beginning, when Vishen was a small businessman, when Vishen was starting, before A-Fest, many years before A-Fest, he was small. He was teaching small classes, meditation, Saturday and Sunday, meditation for a weekend, over a weekend, for little money, little money. For much money? No. For little money. Little money. So, question. Meditation. Let's take a look. What's meditation? Meditation, take a look. Meditation. Yes? To meditate. To silence the mind. Meditation. He was teaching meditation over a weekend for little money. Did he earn? Question. Did he make a lot of money? Or did he make little money? Question. Did he make a lot of money? A lot of money. Or did he make little money? He made little money. Crap money. So, Vishen continues. This is Vishen's story. He tells us now. Question: how did I go from there? Teaching small classes, making little money. How did I go from there? Little money, small classes, to 2 years later, to 2 years after this, creating something similar or like a fast. So, at the beginning, he was teaching small classes. 2 years later, he was big. He was making a lot of money. He created a fast 2 years later. So 2 years later, and question, how did I go from there? How? Being small and being big. How? Question. Let's continue. How? Well, he continues telling us it had to do with an encounter. It had a relation. Just a moment. Well, it had to do with an encounter, or it had there was a how could I explain? It had to do with an encounter. It had a relationship. Okay. There was a relationship. There was an encounter. Encounter. There was an encounter. What's an encounter? Encounter? It's a meeting. To encounter. Encounter. To meet. To encounter. To see personally. To meet. Meeting. Encounter. It had to do with an encounter. There was an encounter, or it had a relationship with an encounter. An encounter. What's an encounter? A meeting. Meeting. What's a meeting? To meet someone. Meeting. Take a look. Meeting. This is a meeting. A meeting. A meeting. Or encounter. Okay? Meeting or encounter. Good. Well, it had to do with an encounter. There was an encounter. It had a relationship with an encounter. Encounter meeting with a guy by the name of Bob Proctor. Bob Proctor? Who is Bob Proctor? Who is Bob Proctor? This is Bob Proctor. Bob Proctor gives speeches, lectures, He speaks to many people. He speaks to many people in conference halls. He's a speaker. Bob Proctor is a speaker to large audiences. All right. By the name of Bob Proctor and how he absolutely kicked my ass. How he absolutely kicked my ass. He kicked my ass. He told me, "Come on, Vishen. You can achieve. You can realize. You can obtain. You can do many things in life. You can do many things in life. It's possible for you. It's not impossible. It's possible for you. You can. Come on. Come on. You have potential." So, and how he, Bob Proctor, absolutely kicked my ass to a point where I was so pissed off at him. Pissed off. I was upset. Pissed off. I was pissed off. I was upset or angry. I was upset, angry, annoyed at Bob Proctor. But Bob Proctor, in fact, Bob Proctor had a meeting with Vishen. Vishen had a meeting with Bob Proctor. And Bob Proctor told Vishen, "Vishen, come on. You are small, but you can be big. Come on, Vishen. You have potential." So Bob Proctor kicked Vishen Lakhiani's ass. And Vishen Lakhiani was so pissed off at him, upset, angry. But Vishen Lakhiani was angry. Vishen Lakhiani was angry at Bob Proctor, was upset, was pissed off at Bob Proctor. But Bob Proctor wanted to help. Bob Proctor wanted to help Vishen Lakhiani. Bob Proctor wanted to help Vishen Lakhiani to be a big businessman, to be a big entrepreneur. So he was pissed off at Bob Proctor, but take a look. But this meeting led to a disorientation in my mind. This meeting led to a disorientation in Vishen Lakhiani's mind. This meeting with Bob Proctor, this encounter with Bob Proctor, gave Vishen a disorientation in Vishen's mind. Gave Vishen a disorientation in Vishen's mind. Disorientation. What's disorientation? Take a look. Disorientation. Take a look. This is disorientation. Oh, disorientation. Oh, I'm disoriented. It led to a disorientation in my mind. Mind. What's mind? The mind, okay? This is the brain, in fact. But the mind is in the brain. Disorientation in the mind. That spawned an incredible growth. Bob Proctor, Vishen, had a meeting, an encounter with Bob Proctor. Bob Proctor told Vishen, "Come on, Vishen, you have potential. You can do many things. You can be big." Vishen was pissed off, upset, angry, and had a disorientation in his mind. That spawned. Spawned is created. Created. Generated. Spawned is created. Generated an incredible growth. So, the meeting Vishen with Bob Proctor gave Vishen a disorientation in Vishen's mind. But this meeting created, generated, spawned an incredible growth in Vishen's life. Incredible growth. Yes. So, was it negative? Question. Was it negative or positive to Vishen? Was the meeting... question. Was the meeting negative or positive to Vishen? Was the meeting negative or positive to Vishen? The meeting with Bob Proctor was positive to Vishen. Why? It created, it generated, it spawned an incredible growth in Vishen Lakhiani's life. So, continuing. Here, Vishen continues telling us his story. Now, I wanted to share. I wanted to share the story with you. I wanted to share my story with you. I wanted to tell you this story. I wanted to tell you this story of mine, or my story. I wanted to talk to you about this story. Listen to my story. Listen. It's my story. I want to share, to give this story to you. My story to you. So, he continues. He says, what does he say? He says, I was talking, oh my goodness. I was talking about this story, my story, with Bob Proctor. on the stage in a conference hall, on the stage in an auditorium recently, very recently, some time ago, recently. I was talking about this story. I was telling this story on the auditorium, on a conference hall recently, some time ago. And people absolutely loved the story, loved it. They absolutely loved it. People loved my story. They loved my story. And they thought it was absolutely hilarious. They thought, in their opinion, in their mind, the people's mind, this story was absolutely hilarious. What's hilarious? What is that? Hilarious is funny. Yes, the people thought the story was absolutely funny. The people thought the story of Vishen's story, was absolutely funny. So, Vishen continues. So, check this out. Verify this. Examine this. Take a look at this. Take a look at this. Come on, take a look at this story of mine. My story. And see if this story, my story, sparks an idea, creates an idea, generates an idea within you, inside of you. Take a look at this, take a look at my story, and see if my story, the story of mine, sparks an idea, creates an idea, generates an idea within you, inside you. Okay? So, let's listen to Vishen Lakhiani again. Alright? First, the first paragraph in blue. Okay? Let's listen.
Many people can't believe that 2 years before A-Fest, before I first started this incredible festival that many people say is like the TED of personal growth, I was so small in terms of my impact in the world that I was basically teaching small classes of 30 to 40 people meditation over a weekend for absolute crap money. Now, how did I go from there to 2 years later creating something like A-Fest?
Alright, now the second paragraph. Let's listen.
Well, it had to do with an encounter with a guy by the name of Bob Proctor, and how he absolutely kicked my ass to a point where I was so pissed off at him. But it led to a disorientation in my mind that sparked an incredible growth. Now, I wanted to share the story with you. I was talking about this on stage recently, and people absolutely loved it, and they thought it was absolutely hilarious. So check this out and see if this sparks an idea within you.
Good! Very nice! Oh, stop this. Good! Bom, pessoal, é isso. Terminamos essa última parte da lição 2 do Vishen Lakhiani, que foi inglês. Espero que vocês tenham gostado da aula, dessa lição, 5 partes. Próxima lição, um outro tópico com mais inglês para vocês. com Inglês Acelerado, com áudios, vídeos e textos. Dá um like se você gostou, compartilha aí com as pessoas que precisam aprender inglês de maneira diferente. Comenta aí embaixo o que você achou, o que você está achando das nossas aulas. Também siga o nosso canal e ative as notificações, o sininho para as notificações. Forte abraço e até o próximo vídeo. Tchau!